Hello, Frank Lloyd Wright fans, organic architecture fans, fans of modern architecture. I am Colin Slais, an architect here in the Phoenix, Arizona area, your Frank Lloyd Wright expert and your talk and tour guide. This time we're going to go to the Olfelt house in St. Louis Park, Minnesota. But before we do, and we will go there very shortly, as you can see, a little bit of a different format here today. And I want to go a little bit more in depth this time into not only just what you're seeing or what we're seeing, but why we're seeing it. What were Frank Lloyd Wright's design principles? And how are those principles applicable today? Even Mr. Wright himself once said, the principle never dies. And so we're going to go a little more in depth today than my past videos. And hopefully you will enjoy that. So let's share our screen here and go to the Olfelt house and start our tour as we have in the past. Again, this time we are going to the Olfelt house, St. Louis Park, Minnesota. The client, Paul and Helen Olfelt, and their 3 kids. My wife and I were there, I don't know, probably 7-8 years ago. So both Paul and Helen were still there living in the house. So we arranged while we were in Minneapolis, a trip to be able to visit with them for, maybe 45 minutes or so. We didn't want to overstay our welcome. So they were very gracious to let us through their house. They gave us some wonderful tidbits of information and a few funny stories that I will share with you. It's a 1-story house of about 2,647 square feet. That's a fairly sizable house for Mr. Wright, a little bit bigger than some of the other kind of smaller typical Usonians. The Usonian house designed for the common man, the common family, supposed to be of moderate cost. And so therefore they were typically smaller, again, to try to save money. This house was completed in 1960, a year after Mr. Wright died, and Jack Howe, a Wright apprentice, oversaw construction through completion and had a hand in the design of the house, some of the details, the construction, and then there's a small basement level that Jack Howe did design that was compatible with the design of the house. Same details and materials and colors. The main materials, again, Mr. Wright, again, used the term thoroughbred, like to keep materials to a minimum. This time it's brick, concrete, of course, the Cherokee red concrete floors, glass, and mahogany wood. Of course, mahogany wood is very expensive these days and difficult to obtain. This particular house was designed on a triangular grid module. The site, we always start there. Once again, down in a bunch of broccoli. But it ends at it's actually a cul-de-sac here. So there's some houses around this cul-de-sac here. The house is right here. I must say, from what I've learned recently, the house was sold and the new owner is renovating, remodeling, adding to it. So that's always a little tricky because we all have to wonder what that's going to do to the integrity of the house, the design, and what it's going to end up being when it's all said and done. It's always kind of unfortunate to hear about that because you got to be really careful, obviously, with Frank Lloyd Wright homes, buildings. They are masterworks. So when you touch it, it's like touching a Picasso or a Rembrandt. You got to be really careful. You got to be very respectful. And the hopes are from the design community and those interested that that Frank Lloyd Wright's, again, organic principles and that the design integrity is maintained and not destroyed. So we'll see how that plays out. Here is the floor plan of the house. So you can see here's this sort of diamond triangular module. So as typical, you have the brick workspace which is the center of the home with the fireplace as well. Here are those some stairs down to a small basement. There isn't a basement, I think, under the whole house. I think it was just mainly under the living space. And then you have a combined dining living area, main entry here, up some steps from the carport. As I've expressed in my other floor plans and other videos, there's always a tool storage shed column structure that Wright uses to support the large roof overhang. He makes that structure useful. Here we have a skylight because this is all roof. Again, a very broad roof overhang. The sense of shelter is expressed. This lets light into these small windows, affording privacy here at the entry and in the living area. So the street is out here. And as typical, we always privatize from the street and we open up the windows and maximize the view to the garden area and to nature out here. The hidden entry is typically hidden. And we go down a gallery here, again, with built-in storage, clear story windows here to the 2 bedrooms and then the primary bedroom at the back. This is very, very odd to have these walls not on this angular module. So not sure why that is the case here. The only wall that's parallel with the grid module are these 2 end walls here. So that's highly irregular and unusual for Mr. Wright for his designs. Usually everything fully adhered to the grid. I mean, if you've seen my other videos, the Palmer house, you know, even the bed mattress is conforms to the grid. It does that at the Krause house in Kirkwood, Missouri, and other houses. So a little bit unusual. You know, here you see the dining table, built-in dining table adheres to the grid. This coffee table here, the built-in cabinetry here, of course, the built-in cabinetry here. So everything adheres to the grid. Planters here and here, which we'll see, except for these bedrooms. So let's get right to it. Here we're standing just outside the living room down here. The site has a severe slope to it. So basically the top of the hill, so to speak, is about right where this workspace and entry is. And you can see that there's all these stairs down to the carport area. So basically the landscape all around the house slopes down, essentially from the workspace down the hill, out towards the living room here, and then down the hill out the bedroom wing here. So here's this, here's the elevation way down here. Here, the living room floor is about here, but here's the brick, all this glass, again, generous roof overhang. Here's that roof coming all the way down at the carport here. And again, Mr. Wright always incorporates planters into the design. Why? Because the house is literally extending out and embracing nature. It's bringing nature literally in. It's as if the design is growing up out of the ground, and part of that ground is now up here. So the house grows out of the site, as Mr. Wright used to say, out of the ground and into the light. Light Eve colors, same color as the interior. That Mr. Wright said, what's inside goes out and what's outside comes in. Here the lights are on the triangular lights. Follow that grid module. This is just a detail of that glass here at the living area. That's sort of the prow of this corner. Again, Mr. Wright always did corner glass windows at the corners to break the box. The structure is here in these supports. And then, this support here also adds to provide stiffness to these vertical supports, but then also creates these triangular angled frame pieces adhering to the diamond module of the plan. Coming around the hill here, French glass doors out here to a small patio. Here is that centralized workspace and fireplace. Again, Mr. Wright always emphasized the center of the home. That central core was always typically taller, always expressed on the exterior. Mr. Wright once wrote or said, you should pretty much be able to tell from the outside what's going on inside. So Mr. Wright is expressing the design, expressing the plan, expressing the function. Again, these generous roof overhangs, sense of shelter, sense of security, of protection from the elements, but yet a connection to the elements through all this glass. Mr. Wright said, I never wanted to be separated from the elements. Again, continuing to kind of walk around here, you can see the top of the hill is here about where the workspace is, and a severe slope down the living room side and then down the bedroom wing side. Behind us is almost kind of a swamp. It was kind of a water area with reeds in it and different types of plant life. And I think in the winter it freezes over. So there's water behind us and a view out that way. Here, the other side. So you can see the hill here severely sloping. This bedroom wing extends out the end of that wall, adhering to the grid of the module. And then, of course, all the windows facing the view. Quick story about that. The Olfelts said that in the initial design, Mr. Wright wanted glass doors off these bedrooms, and that Mr. Wright said to the Olfelts, kids should be able to freely roam and go wherever they want. And Helen Olfelt looked at me and said, we didn't think that was such a good idea. So they do not have glass doors. And Paul Olfelt said, he said, yeah, Mr. Wright tried to basically kind of preach to us about raising kids. So I think they kind of had some humor in that. So again, here is that workspace core, vertical window, sort of almost expressing that sort of that verticality. It's almost kind of a breakup in Mr. Wright's horizontality, and this sort of breaks that up. But again, the living room here with the glass doors out into a small patio. Here's yet another planter on that grid module. Bedroom wing here, again, large overhangs. Living room taller than the bedroom wing, taller ceiling. Again, enhancing that sense of space, that expanse. But again, always these planters, they're just charming effects. They really do have a wonderful effect on the design. And they do just bring nature literally into as part of the architecture. You just don't see that much these days. I really like it, and I really think it does. It just adds that bit of charm to the house. It softens it, and again, relates the house to nature, which is what Mr. Wright was all about. Here's that planter again. You can see a little bit of the Cherokee red concrete floors extending out to the small patio area. And then just that bedroom wing extending all the way out into the landscape, pitched roof. Here from the front, so now we've kind of come all the way around the house, and now back to the front here. Here are those stairs that you could see, quite a slope, from the floor elevation inside the house to the carport area here, and this roof just coming down here. Here's the storage support structure here, and look, the roof, coming almost down to the ground. Here's these small slit windows that are behind what we'll see when we go into the house. They're behind the built-in bench, the entry area here, so with the vertical small slit window, so you can see out a little bit and just catch a glimpse of visitors and what's going on outside here in the front of the house. But again, what Mr. Wright's trying to do is create privacy here from the street, from the public domain, and create privacy to the residents. But again, even these these site walls like this, just kind of extending out. Again, it just extends the house out into the landscape and connects the two. Coming around a little bit more now, here at the carport, of course, look at the central fireplace, workspace core, expressed, always expressed from the exterior. And the Cherokee red floor extends down the stairs. I think we talked about the Olfelts, I think my wife asked them, was it kind of challenging getting up and down these stairs in the winters and with ice? And they did concur that at times that was a challenge. You can see this handrail here, and the sort of a small little balcony here. Now, when you come into the house, immediately to the right, here's that built-in bench, of course, Mr. Wright, it's trademark. Here's these small slit windows. I really wish I had turned these lights on. I don't even know if I was aware of them. I was just so excited to be in the house. And it's always a little, you always want to arrange. Obviously, you don't want to just visit Frank Lloyd Wright homes unless they're open to the public, just, randomly. You want to respect the owners. You want to write them letters, try to communicate with them, ask them if you can visit, tell them a little bit about yourself, and try to find something that's convenient for them, because they're putting themselves out by having people come through their home all these often. So when we visit houses, and especially in this case it's the original owners, they're older, you just don't want to overstay your welcome. You kind of want to get in. I mean, you're glad that they even responded to your letter and agreed, and you're visiting with them, you're listening to their stories. And so I'm trying not to spend a lot of time taking pictures of their house, but they were nice enough to let us through, and I could take some pictures. Again, here's all that glass out the living room, built-in cabinetry here, all the books, Frank Lloyd Wright designed lamps, Frank Lloyd Wright designed hassocks, chairs, the table here, again, conforming to the grid module, the brick, same material, inside is out, the ceiling, same material, color, flowing, inside is out. These wood strips express the structure, which is wood joists behind the plaster here, and then ending in these lights that, of course, are very functional because they provide light down here onto the built-in sofa or built-in seating area here. And again, they adhere in a triangular shape, adhering to the module of the plan. So now turning a little bit around, I think when we were there, I think Mr. Olfelt said these things were here sometimes to provide some shade at certain times of the year, certain times of the day if the sun was coming straight in at times. So, again, unfortunate that some of these things are there, but, they did remind us. They said, hey, guys, this is a house that is lived in. So, it's not going to always be showcase ready. Here from basically the dining room area. I'm sorry. Here's the dining room area here. Here's the fireplace. Again, Mr. Wright's custom designed light fixture. These horizontal pieces reflect light up, down, everywhere, kind of disperse the light. Again, the lights here, triangular, conforming to the module of the design, and the slope, sort of structural window frames here. Again, sort of connecting with the design of the module of the house. Now looking back from the living room, sort of back towards that entry area, which is tucked right behind the fireplace here. Again, these vertical slit windows that allow a little bit of a view out, but still affords privacy. Again, there's that deep red Cherokee floor, beautiful floors. They were in beautiful condition. Again, Frank Lloyd Wright designed chairs, table, adhering to the grid, the custom light fixture. So as you can see, with the colors too, the color selections the materials, the design, the details, everything just flows together. Nothing attracts the eye in any kind of stark way or any kind of, everything works together. Nothing contrasting or out of place. There's just this overall calm, relaxed, cohesive, integral whole. Again, as Mr. Wright said, one of the bases of organic architecture, part is to whole as whole is to part. Everything relates. And from the dining room area, here's that custom lamp. Look at the expanse of the windows out to nature. Just absolutely beautiful, extraordinary. The built-in cabinetry here, all the materials matching, the stain colors matching. It's just a cohesive, continuous whole. Nothing out of place. Here's the main entry. Again, typical Mr. Wright, small, squeeze the space, compression. And then when you come into the living room area, the space opens up. So there's that contrast. There's that sense of expansive space. But again, always the same material inside as out. If you come into the main entry here and go, you can just see it a little bit here. If you go to your left, here's the gallery space to the bedroom wing here. Clear story windows here, letting light in, some view, but again, it's private. This gallery now becomes a continuous storage space, becomes a space to display art and other photographs and family items. And again, we have the lights, triangular shaped, conforming to the grid module. Just a detail here of one of the bedrooms, the wood paneling, the mahogany, the light shelf here. You can see just a piece of, again, the light that's triangular in shape. And then, a clever thing that Frank Lloyd Wright did was this light bulb, would also shine up on the ceiling here. So it would shine down and up, providing direct and indirect lighting. It's just, again, one of those charming features. Again, there's light underneath here, built-in bookshelves always. This is the primary bedroom area. So again, you see that exterior wall material come to the interior. You see this expansive window at the corner. Again, the walls of the house conforming to the grid, to the module of the home. And again, that angled window frame, providing shapes that are that provide continuity to the geometry of the design. I mean, even the chair here, which I don't think was a Wright design. I think in my reading or asking them, the Olfelts found this chair, either that or it was a Wright design from a different era, a different time in his career. But it works well, obviously, with the design of the overall house. And so that is the end of our tour for this particular house. I thank you all for joining me, and stay tuned for next time when we visit another house. So thank you again, and we hope to see you all again very, very soon. Until then,